this thing is one of those, Yeah, no, that big one. Because this thing makes you sit like this, Not meant for human bodies. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Balava Giri Baradari. Gopi Jana Balava Giri Baradari. Yasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Banacha. Yamuna Tira Banacha. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Balava Giri Baradari. Gopi Jana Balava Giri Baradari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Banacha. Yamuna Tira Banacha. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nasta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Utama Shloka Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So what is it, 24 or 25? sa va etasya samidrashtu samdrashtu shakti sadasat atmika maya nama mahabhaga yayedam nirmame Vibhu Sava etasya samdrashtu Shakti sadasat atmaka Maya nama mahabhaga Yayedam nirmame vibhu Sava etasya samdrashtu Shakti sadasat atmaka Maya nama mahabhaga Yayedam nirmame vibhu Shakti sadasat atmaka Maya nama mahabhaga Yayedam nirmame vibhu Savaetam samristu Maya nama mahabhaga Yayedam vikrame vibhu Savaetasya samdrashtu Shakti sadasadatmaka Maya nama mahabhaga Yayedam nirmame vibhu Savaetasya samdrashtu Shakti sadasat atmaka Maya nama mahabhaga Yayedam nirmame vibhu Mataji Savaetasya mamdrashtu Shakti sadasat atmaka Maya nama mahabhaga Yayedam nirmame vibhu Sa, that external. We don't have that little microphone. Huh? Huh? Oh, this. Oh, that's a new one, huh? Good trick. This material nature known as Maya is both the material and efficient cause of the cosmos. But in the background, the Lord is the consciousness for all activities. As in the individual body, the consciousness is the source of all energies of the body, so the supreme consciousness of the Lord is the source of all energies in material nature. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.10 as follows. Maya dakshena prakati charachara he tunane na konteya jagat viparivar. There is the hand of the Supreme Satarane. Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahavadhanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Chaitanya Namani Gora Tvishe Namaha. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavanishadi Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Krishna Tvadiya Padapankaja Panjarantam Ajaiva Me Visitu Manasaraja Hansan Pranapanama Samaye Kapavata Pittai Kantavaro Danavido Smaranam Kutaste. I was just listening to Prabhupada in the conversation talking about, devotees kept telling him what the scientists say, we can't see it, we can't see it. Prabhupada gives so many examples. You can't see so many things, but you believe it. You never saw your great-grandfather probably, but that doesn't mean he didn't exist. We can't see our kidney, certainly we don't know how it's working, but we accept, okay, it's working, maybe. Sometimes it's not working. So this is the arguments. That Krishna sees everything. And Prabhupada is very strong, but devotees are saying, well, these professors, they say, we have our authority, so you have to accept me as an authority. Prabhupada said, if I have to accept you, you have to accept me also. And just, Judakarma Prabhu says the same thing about science. Science means you're supposed to examine everything. But if they reject anything that even sounds like God or religion, it's not science. They say it's science, but it's not, because they're just throwing out a whole section of evidence or arguments or ideas and saying, well, my ideas are right. And they're very heavy about it. Sadhaputta Prabhu came to Japan one time and he gave some presentation. He said it was totally mathematical. He never mentioned God or anything. And the first comment was, you sound very religious, because he didn't agree with the mainstream presentation, so therefore it's religion. And it's thrown out. So this is not very good. And this is what we're up against. People are trained like that in school. Everything is like that. Fortunately, some people either don't pay any attention or they have enough good fortune or pious activities in the past to see through it. We have to, everyone, Prabhupada said, everyone has devotion. We already have devotion, but we already have attachment to family, to friends, body, whatever we're attached to. People are very devoted to different things, different isms and different religions. And we just have to change it, Not that everybody has devotion already, but for the wrong thing. But then they say if it's devotion to God, they're not interested. Because they don't know what is God. They have to learn. Rabindra Swarup was telling me he would, in the universities, he'd meet a lot of very educated, intelligent ladies. And they would say they don't believe in God. And he said, well, what do you think God is? And they would tell him, and he'd say, well, I don't believe in that either. So that's many people that are against religion is because their experience in the church and the crazy things, fanaticism that they heard, they reject religion across the board. People they're not, because they never heard anything right. But we're giving them they're not hearing it. We're giving them the chance to actually hear the facts, to hear about Krishna from the supreme authorities. Vyasadeva and Krishna, the real authorities. We see in Prabhupada's purports references from Puranas, that confirm what the Bhagavad Gita says. They say the same thing from the Bhagavatam. They always cross references. from very ancient, the Puranas were written more than 5,000 years ago by Vyasadeva, before he wrote the Bhagavatam. And we don't find contradiction. We don't find we need a modern version. Some people say that. There was a woman in China that had some contact with devotees, and then she was very creative. And she actually got a big following. She said, well, that Krishna spoke 5,000 years ago, but the world has changed so much now, and there's so much new everything. So I'm giving an updated version. And even some devotees went with her, but she was really crazy. She wrote a book, and I won't say what, too crazy. Devotees said only ghosts could write such a book. But she said she was Mother Yasoda. People were visiting her hometown. People are crazy. And that people say that, well, Jesus, it was 2,000 years ago, and now we have to have a modern understanding. The Ten Commandments, they're actually just suggestions. It's not like you have to do it, you can decide. And it's true. Krishna says, Arjuna, you do whatever you want now, I told you everything. So you don't have to follow. If you want to go back to Godhead and you want to get freedom from birth, death, disease, and old age, then you have to follow. But you don't have to if you want to go to hell, if you want to just stay in the mature world and suffer. We don't have to, follow disciplic succession. Everyone has their choice. When our Radha Raman Prabhu was a college professor, and he says students will ask him, like, how do I know which path? There's so many, because he's teaching like world religions or something. He said, well, you have to decide what you want, and then choose the one that will take you to what you want, He doesn't say you have to chant Hare Krishna. He wouldn't last very long on his job if he did that. But they know he's a devotee, and they appreciate that he just presents everything in a very scholarly way. But just like Krishna, you have a choice. But we are praying, and we should be praying anyway. That's Krishna to help these people. Even anybody will say, even materialistic people, that the so-called materially successful people are not always happy. What is the use of, if you just count success as getting the money and the house and the cars and the prestige or the political office that you want is success, but you have all kinds of sickness, and you're unhappy, and you're getting divorced every couple of years. How is that success? What is success? Sometimes people ask, even devotees, how can I be successful? I saw an ad in Bombay one, I think it was a cigarette, huge billboard, and some guy had a gigantic desk, with designer clothes and everything. I get what I want, I'm successful. But you always want more. Never end. We should have that greed, but no service. Devotees should be satisfied, yajyascha labhasantushto. I like that word, yajyascha, automatic, whatever comes automatically. Satisfied. We know that we're getting what we deserve. We can't really get more or less. Sometimes people try to give up things, but it just keeps coming back. And then they try to get more than their quota, and either they never get it, they just become like a donkey when they hang a stick with a carrot or something to eat, and animal just keeps going, but every time he moves, the thing moves also. Right? But he'll work all day like that. And at the end of the day, the driver will give him that's his dharma or whatever it is. But the people are all doing like that. Just working, and they're just promising, just... You can ask students, why are you studying? Well, to get into a good university, then get this, and then get a good job, and then get promoted. And what are you going to do with that? I tell a story. One big businessman, he was taking a holiday down in Mexico or something, and saw the fisherman. He'd go out in his little boat every day and come back with a few fish. And he said, look, if you get another boat, then you hire, you could get more fish. And he kept adding on, and the guy said, well, what would that be? Then you could get another one, then you could increase, and then you could do this. And then finally he got to he had a huge business, and he said, then you can retire, and you can live on the beach and just play with your grandchildren all day. And the guy said, well, that's what I'm doing now. Why should I go to all that trouble? Some people are satisfied. I saw a guy in Bali, fisherman. So he had an inner tube and some net, and he'd just go out in the water all day long. And he came back happy. I'm great. My life is great. Meanwhile, people are paying a fortune to come there and, pay and live in a hotel and go out and play around in the water for a week or two, and then go back to New York or wherever they came from, and pay off the bill that they put on their credit card. So we want to be satisfied with what we have materially, and living simply means simple. It doesn't complicate it. Not that you have to starve or you have to sleep on the cement outside like some people, but not complicated, not, having to have too many things. But want more bhakti, more devotional service, if not more chanting, but more intense chanting, or more, not necessarily more mridanga beats, but playing the mridanga for Krishna, really focusing, why am I doing this? We want to develop bhakti. We want to get out of this material world. We want to transfer our bhakti and our energy and all the different things we've tried to do our whole life. And whether even success is a failure if you're just getting further away from Krishna, becoming more... Generally, material success just means more and more entanglement. What they call success. And I get what I want. I know one devotee, he made a nice way of saying it, but success is getting what you want. Happiness is wanting what you get. Satisfied with whatever comes. See? It's a consciousness. If somebody's greedy, then even the Christians say God will satisfy your needs, but He can't satisfy your greeds. So lust, anger, and greed. Greed can't be satisfied because it's like putting fuel in a fire. Lust, anger, and greed. You try to satisfy it, you just get more. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. You might think for a few minutes, I got what I want, but then suddenly the whatever you're after gets bigger and bigger and bigger, more and more and more. So we see these kind of people now, these small-time Hiranyakasipus, Ravana. Ravana was just trying to conquer the whole universe. He was actually going around conquering, stealing women from everywhere, from earthly, from demigod families, sometimes stealing wives, stealing daughters, and taking them. And of course, he didn't keep them in a prison. He gave them luxurious palaces and everything. But not all of them were happy to be with him. And when Sita chastised him and said, "What kind of man are you? You're stealing other men's wives." He said, "What's wrong with that? That's Rakshasa Dharma. That's what we do. Why are you criticizing it?" So that's what we're up against, the Rakshasa Dharma. Like this East and West idea. We were reading, it must have been Chaitanya-Bhāgavatam, and it was talking about how somebody had gone west. And I was thinking that when they said west, they didn't mean the Cardinal California, right? Like they called Japan and those countries the Far East. If you're coming from Europe, it's east, but if you're coming from America, it's west. But it seemed like when they say west, they meant a degradation, you know. Like, there's a thing in the Chaitanya Charitamrita where the astrologer says, if you look in the north, you're going to find a serpent, and if you look over here, you're going to find wasp, and if you look in the east, you're going to find the treasure chest. It doesn't mean just the cardinal directions, evidently. People blame the Western culture and think that that's America, but no. Ravana was more degraded than America, more powerful. You know, he was, when Hanuman was looking for Sita, and he was looking inside all these palaces, and everyone was beautiful women, like undressed condition, and lying unconscious with all kinds of meat all around and intoxication. But that wasn't in America. It wasn't in the West Coast or in India now. Bombay is west, so it's true it's more degraded, but actually everywhere is degraded now. They're taken to that degraded culture, the Rakshasa culture. So we're trying to do whatever we can to do something about it. Everywhere they're trying to tell you, you know, just you can be happy if you get this item. You know, if you get this much savings, if you get this car, if you get this dress, if you get this. Some advertisers even say everybody will be envious of you. Like that's something worthwhile. I don't know if you, in India, I can't remember when they stopped it. There was an Indian television at one time, but I don't think they make it anymore. But their advertisement was, everyone will envy you if you have this television. But if people envy you, they curse you. You know? It's very bad to be envied. The material world is made out of envy. So Maya, in this case, means illusion. And everything is she's creating, meaning Durga is another name for Maya. She's in charge of the material world. So the material energy is seen, and it's the cause and the effect. Everything has a cause and everything has an effect. In every cause there is an effect, in every effect there's a cause. Prabhupada was also discussing that in terms of cause of death. They say, well, he died because of a heart attack. Prabhupada said, that's not the cause. That was the effect. So now they're saying, you know, how many people died of cancer, died of heart attack, died. COVID is quite far down the list. Died of, you know, all the different things, malaria, and very many people. But that's not the cause of their death. That's the effect of the fact that their karma culminated in that. And it was time to give up this body. So then certain things will happen, different people. But that's not actually the real cause. Krishna is the ultimate cause. We look, sometimes we need to know the immediate cause, but that's arranged by Krishna. Why did this airplane crash, or why did this happen, why did that happen? Krishna, ultimately it's Krishna and the karma of the individual. Krishna knows everything. So Bhagavad Gita is very, very clear on all these things, and then Bhagavatam is expanding and making it all more clear. So this external energy is called Maya. So why do we say Mayapur is a great place? Huh? You know? Maya also means mercy. There's Maya, here is Maya with two long, but there's Maya, one short at the end, and then there's Maya, short and long, and then there's both. They all have different meanings. It looks the same. So, in the case of Mayapur, Maya means mercy, city of mercy. The Mayadakshena prakriti suyate sachacharam he tunane nakonteya jagat vipadi vartate. So throughout all the energies of the material nature, there's the hand of the Supreme Lord as the final superintendent. Due to the supreme cause only, the activities of material nature appear planned and systematic, and all things regularly evolve. Due to the supreme cause. Of course, the scientists, it's very mysterious how they can deny that the material energy is organized and planned and has an organizer, right? You can go on there, you have the G calendar or whatever it is. So you can put in 1 year from now, 5 years from now, it'll tell you the sunrise. And if you wait, you'll see that it's exactly right. By accident, right? By chance. If it's by chance, nobody could predict anything. But we have so many apps to predict the weather and predict this and predict that. I mean, even some things are much more by chance, but there's a system to it. So if someone knows the system, they can go on the stock market. Someone knows the system, they can go to the casino and win all the time. It's not exactly by chance. It's by chance for the people who don't know. But these other things, the way the planets are moving and the way the sun and the moon always rise and set exactly on time, all predicted, and the eclipse is coming and exactly what time it's going to be in all different parts of the world by accident, right? Just so happened that we got it right. So it's crazy, but that's it. Kali Yuga is so powerful, and Kali is working so hard to create quarreling, even amongst devotees. Kali is always working, trying to create some sort of a controversy, so that rather than preach, we can discuss the controversy, right? Like they say in a company, they'll have a big meeting, and within a few minutes, they'll decide on a multi-billion-dollar budget. And then when they decide where to put the coffee machine in the lounge, they take hours and hours discussing. Somebody wants it here, somebody wants it over there. So these things so many things are meant to distract us from their real purpose. So we need to be fixed, and that's why we have regulated life, and take shelter of devotees that can help us how to get through to these people. The more we make ourselves visible, the more people will know the holy name and know about Krishna, and maybe say Hare Krishna. And if anybody sees tilak, they get purified. If anybody sees devotees dress, they get purified because they probably think of Krishna, or at least think of religion or something, But they should think of Krishna. Now in America, many people ask me, are you Buddhist? Instead of, they don't say, are you Hare Krishna? In the 70s, everybody would know you're Hare Krishna. It's very famous, this dress, and tilak, and shaved head. And now the Buddhist is somehow very famous. They get much more publicity because they don't present God and surrender. It's kind of, for many Buddhists, they say, you do what you want, it's okay. But we want people to know Krishna, so that's why we're determined here in New York to... New York, Harinama New York is the world. And it's going all over the world. Some of the kirtans they put up on the social media have 1 million views. Especially if they're only 1 minute long, they get more. But, that means people are hearing the holy name and liking it. So remember that, whatever is happening, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda, he has no cause, but he is the cause. It's very important. And everything is in that verse, actually. I try to think, at least I tell, if anything is coming up, some so-called problems and difficulties, you have to remember that Krishna is in control, and then depend on Krishna, help me to do something about it. Because our own intelligence, which is conditioned by so many things for so many lifetimes, may not do it in the right way, but if we really depend on Krishna, he'll guide us, like Prabhupada did, to get things done, to bring Radha Govinda to New York, and a phenomenal thing at the time he did it. Still phenomenal that there's so many devotees, but that Prabhupada came with absolutely nothing, not even any money. We say 40 rupees, but those rupees had no value in America. Nobody would give him anything for rupees. Now 40 rupees was 75 cents. Then it was $7. So how far could you go in a taxi for $7, even in 1965? Not very far. Probably could ride the subway a few times, 4 or 5 times, So, but he didn't have that. All he had was the books. He had to depend on selling the books. And that's what he did. All right, any comments, questions? Sorry to be rambling on. Yes. Say loud.
You are saying that nothing is by chance, everything has some reason. So you see, just like the materialist scientists, they say everything has come by chance. So is it right on our part to say that nothing has come by chance, like nothing? Or should we say there's something by chance and something is not by chance?
No, because it happened because of some combination of previous activities, and ultimately that's by Krishna's plan, although Krishna may not specifically route out a script that you're going to get your nose broken or something, right? You're going to get, you're going to do this or that, but by the laws of nature which Krishna created, things happen. Karma works. So I always thought that example of being able to predict the sunrise and predict so many things. They can predict storms, they can predict, some things they miss, but, they get some idea. It's not by chance. It's by a combination of different activities, and they finally come together. It's not by chance that we've come into the material world, although it's causeless. Causeless stupidity, I think Prabhupada said one time. But they want to say that, But if you tell them, well, this iPhone, just came by chance, Steve Jobs just went in his basement and smashed up his father's car with a sledgehammer and put some pieces here and there and shook it up, and he got an iPhone. They would really, but they say that's how the universe came about, from an explosion. And everything just went poof, and then suddenly you have all this order. So they're very, very proud. I heard the numbers yesterday of how many satellites there are going around Earth, But they always fall down after a while. They can't stay. But all the planets keep going, and all the stars and all the moons of every planet, they keep going perfectly, and you can predict how they move. So the man-made things, they won't say that satellite was made by chance and the SpaceX rocket was made by chance. You could say that. The story, I think Prabhupada told it, of Columbus, and somebody was challenging if you could stand an egg, make an egg stand up. And Columbus said he could do it. Everybody tried, but it always fall over. So he took the egg and he cracked it, and then it stood up. He said, well, anybody could do that. He said, yeah, but no one did it. No, I did it. I thought of it. But it's not by chance. He calculated. They didn't say you can't crack it.
That's the point. That some things definitely they're not by chance. Like Steve Jobs making the Apple products, or whatever we see, the creations of this world, they are definitely not by chance. Even the universe coming up, according to Shastra, is not by chance. But I'm saying that even some things are not by chance, but there are some other things which are by chance. Like suppose there's a meteor going and hitting some other planet. It's nothing to do with us, but is it something?
Well, it's just, it depends on what you define as chance, But every, philosopher, and they say there's no accidents, right? But the scientists want to say it's accident, but it's really somehow it's a combination of previous things, and it comes to a certain point, and we can't trace it out. So, like when an airplane crashes, they don't say it's by chance. They have huge investigations trying to find out how it happened. Was it pilot error? Was it did Boeing make a bum airplane? Or, right? Was it the weather? Was it a missile? Sometimes they never tell you. You hear about they're doing, and then finally then it's off the news, There was a couple like that some years ago, Malaysian Airlines, over someplace in Russia, and all of a sudden it was blasting everywhere. All of a sudden, no news. They don't want people to know. So it's better not to get in arguments with these people, That's just another trick, to keep us from actually preaching. If somebody's, and like Sadhaputta said, you don't try to change the mainstream scientist. We're trying to change the next generation, So, like if you're selling anything, you look for people who want what you have. People that are willing to see what your product is. So like in the marketing, they study the city and they see, well, over here there's a majority of young people and they like certain Coca-Cola more than they like this, and they like something, and then you go there. If you have a product, you don't go to where no one ever, everybody doesn't like what you have. So preaching also, we're looking for people who are, open a little bit, that will take the time. And even if they don't agree, you know, we don't have to preach all that kind of stuff to people. But when people come by and they're actually interested, many people say, well, yeah, of course, you know, they understand. But others, hardcore scientists, like this Dawkins, this atheist, we were distributing it at, not Oxford, the other one, what's the other big university in England? Anyway, they had a display of his books, you know, a book stand. And it said, "Read the Divine Hawkins." You know, but then the book is The Blind Watchmaker and the God Delusion and all these different ideas. But they call him divine. But they say there's no God. Then how is he divine then? But he's their supreme authority, you know. And he doesn't know anything about any scripture, but he puts it all down. And he has a big fan base, you know. But so that, you know, if someone's dedicated that, okay, just follow. But there's, we can know that it's not by chance, because Krishna arranged everything and set it into motion. So it's not, within it there's some things look like chance, but if you really could trace it back, it's not. It's all going by the laws of nature. Right? But this guy I was talking to the other day, I don't believe in religion, I only believe in science. And then I said, there's laws of nature. And he said, yes. I said, well, who made them? No, they just develop. Out of what, you know? They'll agree that the laws of New York City were made by people, but the laws of nature just happened, you know. The laws of nature are much more strict, and no one can get away. The laws of New York City, you can get away, you know, with a lot of things. Right? One way or another. You can just not be caught, or you can pay the judge or something, you know. To some degree, you can do that. But the laws of nature act no matter what. You can't bribe your way out of it, you know. People think they can. The bogus preachers promise you just pay me and I'll get you free from the laws of nature. Then you can do whatever you want. There'll be no sinful reaction. Don't worry. Jesus has died for your sins and whatever else is. The Sahaja is the same thing. Just chant. Then you can sin all you want, because chanting counteracts it. But you can't do that. All right? Anyone else? Satisfied? Govinda. So we have another day of spreading the holy name to the world in their own small way. But small is big, you know, everything grows. So if you think about it, you know, there's how many people never heard of Hare Krishna? With all the preaching we've done and all the Harinam and all the, you know, still so many people never heard of it. Yeah, I know a couple devotees who were looking for devotees, you know, for a long time. They met a devotee somewhere, and they didn't get the address or something. And then when they found devotees, they found they lived like a couple blocks away from the temple. But they never knew. Because they never went that side, you know, they went the other way. In LA, most of the people on the street down from the temple, they don't know the temple's there. They come in from the other side and they park under their house and they drive out. They never walk around or anything. So I went in Chicago to a health food store. It's a couple blocks from the temple. And the girl asked me, "What religion are you?" And then somebody else in the store said, "Hare Krishna." "Oh, what's that?" You know. But the temple's like a couple minutes. But they don't come that way. You know, they come from the other side. And the devotees are not out in front of the temple. So we need to be out everywhere. You know, we need to be visible and audible. That's why we have the internet. And everybody should have. The Mataji who runs the Facebook for the Juhu temple, they were like number 5 in likes or something one year of all of Facebook. And she said every devotee should have their pages, you know, and they should be broadcasting something. Because there's all these internet heroes that started out with 1 or 2 people. And now they have thousands. They're millionaires. So we need to take advantage. But the good old-fashioned just chanting out in the street and letting people see and hear and feel, it's especially powerful. And meet devotees, talk to devotees. People get unlimited benefit if they just appreciate, they just touch the book. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Maya ki jai. Because Maya is an intimate servant of Krishna.